My friends, welcome back to the channel. I am Tempest and I will be the host of today's episode. And today we will be looking at the plugin Flexverb from Solid State Logic and what is underneath the hood of this very interesting plugin. So just to show you before we begin, S.S.L are currently running a campaign for this plugin where you can get it for 18 euros instead of the normal price of 280 euros. So you have a sale of 262 euros. So if you have been thinking about getting this plugin, now is the time to do it. Alright, enough with the pleasantries, let's get into the DAW and get it done. If you like what I do and want to support me, do consider becoming a Patreon on my Patreon page. It would help me tremendously. You know, being a music producer is not the most well-paid job, so I would highly appreciate it. But enough with the talking, let's get in and do it. We will today be trying this plugin out on the current song that I'm working on, which is called Luminescence. And I'm thinking that we try this plugin out on a couple of different elements in the song. Let's start by loading it up on one of our chords. As you see, I have my plugin structure. If you want to know more about this, I highly recommend that you go and watch my dedicated YouTube video about how to set this up. So let's go into the reverbs and we get out our Flexverb from S.S.L. Straight out of the box, my only feeling is wow. What a beautiful plugin. This is amazing. So what I find interesting about this plugin is that you have so much in one plugin. Let's just walk it from the left to the right. So in the beginning, we can see that we have 4 different types of reverbs that we can choose from. We have the room, we have the hall, the plate, and the chamber. So nothing really particular there. But what I really love about this plugin is the way you can control the tail of the reverb. It gives you so much flexibility of really creating a unique sounding reverb that works on whatever you want it to work on. Moving forward, we have a really good in-depth way of controlling everything from the size to the reverb times. Everything that in other reverb plugins I have found quite difficult to understand and comprehend. This layout is, to me, just perfect. If we couple this together with the third part of the plugin, which is that you can actually control each part of the EQ for this filter in a 6-band EQ. And you can also do it by controlling different steps in this EQing. This means that you can basically tailor the reverb to be exactly how you want it to be. Is it a vocal and you only want the reverb to be in the top end of your track? Then you can completely take away the parts that are bass. And we do like this. And we only tailor it to be exactly where we want it to be. It's fantastic. We also have a built-in compressor into this, which has a side chaining to the dry effect coming in to the plugin. So you can really control how you want the vocals or synth reverb or whatever you want to do with this, how it will sound. And of course you can put it on and off here, so that's great. You can see the gain reduction coming from the compressor inside of here. And then we have, of course, the dry-wet mixer when it comes to blending in our incoming audio, and input sound level as well if you want to adjust that, and the output. So as just a first look on this plugin, I'm blown away. It's looking fantastic. But what we also have are, of course, presets, which makes our lives very easy. So we have a bunch of different presets for all of the 4 types of reverbs that we have. We can go through a couple of these as well and see how they sound and try to find something we like. But let's now jump in to try out the Flexverb on a couple of different of these elements in our track Luminescence. We will start with testing out the Flexverb on our main chord elements of the song Luminescence. Before we activate the plugin, let's listen to a part of the song and the main chords primarily, so you know how do they sound. And just to get them in the context of the song, let's listen to a part of the verse with the full song on as well. Okay. So that is how it sounds without the Flexverb on. Let's now look at what this baby can do. Let's start with just some preset and we'll see. Maybe we'll look into some of the rooms and, well, the S.S.L office. Let's try that one. We'll go from there. So I like this reverb, Studio A Mix Gel, when we're looking at the room reverbs. It gives a bit of a floating feeling to the chords without crushing it too much. Let's look at another part of the song. If we can, for example, place this on. Let's place it on our diva as well. Try to see what we can do with it here. So before we activate it, this part sounds like this. So quite a plucky sound. But it could do with some reverb. And right now we actually have just the normal plug-in group here. We have it on full, so let's take that one away. So that we have no reverb on right now. So that we have no reverb on now when we try the Flexverb. And let's just go from the default preset and see how this would sound. I kind of like the default preset straight away, actually. But let's try and make our own instead. So let's go and get a chamber, for example. And we pull down the tail a bit, so it's not that long. And I don't want anything happening in the bottom end here. I only want from, let's say, 500 and upwards. And I don't want that much in the top regions as well. So that is good. And let's see, I would like it to be a little bit longer. Let's increase the timing a bit. And a bit bigger actually. I like this reverb. Wow. Okay, let's take it on and take it off so we see the difference. So this is without. And now with. I really like it. Of course we can blend it in a bit if we don't want that much. Yeah, that is better. Let's put this in the context of the song. So let's unmute and listen to the full thing, and then we'll put it on and pull it off again. I'm really happy with that outcome. That is really good. Another thing I would like to do is to try and make a bit of a mix bus for some of our drums. So I'm thinking that we create a new return track and we place down this Flexverb on that return track. We can keep it as that name for now. And here I'm thinking that maybe we'll pull in, for example, the clap in the song. So I'm thinking that we do a plate reverb with a smaller type of sound, but still quite a long tail. And yeah, around 900 milliseconds are fair. Also here, I'd like to take away everything under 500. There's no reason in really having reverb on that anyways. And let's route in our snap to this one. And let's just double check that we have on 100% wet. Yes, we do. Okay, so let us deactivate the reverb and listen to it before we put on the Flexverb. So this is just the dry snap right now. Kind of boring, not very exciting. Let's put on the Flexverb. And now we have this small plate with a long tail and 900 milliseconds and nothing happening in the bass. Yeah, I like it. It gives more character and a bit of feeling to the snap instead of just being sterile and boring and just hanging in the mix without having any place to be. So I like it. I think it was a good add-on to this track. Let's also do an A/B testing where we listen to the song with the snap and the Flexverb, and with the snap and without the Flexverb. So let's put on all tracks, and we start with the Flexverb off. Okay, so we did some minor adjustments there to the sound and the EQing of the reverb. So I thought it was a bit high, so I took down the mid filter here and also did a high pass on that one. Okay, let's move on. So far, everything we put this on has actually sounded good, which is not a surprise, but I'm happy with the results that we're getting. Let's do something more subtle. Let's try it on, for example, the open hat and see what effect we can get here. So once more, we'll listen to it without the Flexverb, and then we'll put it on. And let's check the default preset, how that one looks. Not bad, maybe a little much on the tail. Yeah, that can be good. Let's mix it in. We don't want 100% wet. Let's take it down to 0 and then pull it up. So maybe something around there. Let's A, B, and C. We'll take it off and then put it on. I like it once more, and we put it in the context of the song as well. So we enter everything and we put it on and off. I don't know if my ears are just happy tonight or what is happening, but everything that we do with this plugin has so far sounded good to me. Of course, reverbs will always be a very personal thing and how you want to do it. That's also what makes us all unique. So hey, don't be a hater. So we have tried this a bit out now, and one final thing I would like to do is to try this out on our bass line as well. And don't go too crazy now. I know bass should be in mono, it should be center of the stage, it shouldn't be anything in stereo, nothing in terms of reverb. But let's try it and see what happens. That is why we're all unique, we all like different things. We need to bend rules sometimes in order to create new things. So let's start with listening to the bass before we put on the Flexverb, so you get a feeling of the vibe. So that is what we're working with, a very simple, plucky bass line, nothing exciting. Let's slap on the S.S.L. and see what we can do. So in this case, I'm thinking of quite a short reverb. So we're gonna stick it with a room reverb, and I want a small size. But I also want the tail to be quite short. We don't want to overdo anything here. This is just to bring a little bit of life into the track, and let's mix it in the proper way. And here we can then instead pull down all of the high frequencies and only keep the type of mid-range here. I don't want any reverb in the sub bass, so let's filter away everything under 50 Hz here, and then we'll only keep the reverb that comes between around 100 to 1K, which is where the mid-tier of the bass will fall. So let's try this out and we mix in what sounds good. So we're losing a bit of gain here, but let's fix that by putting on a utility from Ableton, and we will just automate the gain afterwards. So we pull the gain up a bit, say like that. And instead we put the utility inside of the same grouping here, and then we can put it on and off quite easily. So that's very subtle in terms of reverb. Let us try and flip it up with a bit of a plate instead. That's a nice little effect we got there. But that is not what we want right now. Okay, so I like this a bit more than the room reverb. It's still a little bit bigger, but it's not interfering too much with the bass. Let's try it in the mix and see how it sounds. So we'll start with it off and then we'll put it on. It might work, it might not, we'll see. I'm not sure if that will stay in the mixing part later, but it's interesting and I like the application of this type of plugin. So, in conclusion about S.S.L. in general, I've always known that S.S.L. make really solid plugins. I've never had a bad experience with any of them, to be honest. But I am positively surprised about how much I like this one, both in terms of the user interface, how easy it is to work with, how intuitive it is to work with, because other reverbs, I haven't really felt that they're intuitive to have in your mix. This makes sense to me. I can work with this. So, I'm not a fortune teller that can look into the future, but if I am to take a wild guess, I would say that this will be a plugin that I will use a lot in the future. So in conclusion, I would advise all of you to pick up this discounted Flexverb while it's still on sale. That this plugin is right now at only 18 euros is for me ridiculous. So I advise you all to grab it as quickly as you can before S.S.L. takes away this offer. That is it for today. Thank you so much for joining. Leave a comment in the section below if you feel that I've missed anything, which I know I have, and please don't correct me on all the things I did wrong, because there are plenty. But we're here to learn, we learn together, and we try to make the music industry a better place. If you like what I do, if you like to follow my content and who I am as a person, do consider becoming a Patreon and following me there and supporting my journey towards a better future in music production. I would highly appreciate you doing it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.